Okay, guys, so you all know that Hurricane Ian came to Florida. Here's a little footage of what was happening during the hurricane. This is Lehigh Acres. This video, I'm going to tell you what is happening in Lehigh Acres following Hurricane Ian. Now, Hurricane Ian was a Category 4 hurricane, and this is the day after the hurricane, and we are so grateful over here in Lehigh Acres. As you can clearly see, there was not a lot of damage. Thanks be to God. We had a few trees that were blown down. A couple people lost some shingles. But overall, we are so grateful. There was no real flooding. Flooding was minimal, and the wind damage also was very minimal. Now, where you're seeing here, this is the 33936 zip code. And as you can see, the skies are clear. All the utility poles are still up in this area. Even though we did lose electricity, thankfully the poles did not blow down. A lot of them stood up to the storm. As you can see, there is no electricity in the street lights, but people are, navigating carefully along the roads. And we feel so blessed in Lehigh Acres because a lot of damage, as you guys can see clearly from the news reports, that there was a lot of damage in Fort Myers. There was a lot of damage in some places in Cape Coral, Naples. Fort Myers Beach was almost, it's unrecognizable. Now, this is another area in Lehigh. This is the Lee Boulevard Strip. This is a major strip in Lehigh Acres, and as you can see, all the utility poles are up and in good order. By this time, most of this area has gotten back electricity and water. Well, most of these houses in this area are on well system. So once the electricity goes, there's no electricity to pump the water. But once electricity is back, then the water automatically comes back. So most of these homes and businesses in this area in Lehigh Acres are now up and running. We have water, we have electricity, and we are just so grateful over here in Lehigh Acres. And if you look carefully at the roofs, you will see that they're pretty much intact. Now we're coming up on the new health center, Southwest Florida Health Center, right over here on your right. And you can see the building is looking good. It's standing. There was no damage that you can see from the road right there. And going all along Lee Boulevard right here, you see minimal damage. Really, we are so grateful. So grateful over here in Lehigh Acres. So it is bright and sunny here now. The street lights are back in this area. Obviously, there is electricity. Most of the businesses are open, which is good. So business is up and running. We did get electricity like 2 days after the storm, and it went again for a full day after that. Something happened, there was some blown fuse, but then we got back electricity, so that's awesome. This is another area in Lehigh. This is along Gunree Road. Right off over there is Varsity Lakes Middle School. And speaking about middle school, so the Lee County has closed all schools in Lee County for this week. And the reason they're doing that is that a lot of these schools were used as shelters, and about 2,000 or more than 2,000 persons are still in the shelters in Lee County. And so they need the shelters because these people, some of them have lost everything. They have nowhere to go. Their houses, are flooded, or they lost their roof. Some persons lost cars. All of that happened in Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Fort Myers Beach, along the coastal area. Here we are now. We are on 23rd Street Southwest in Lehigh, and things are looking pretty good considering we just had a major hurricane. Now, Hurricane Ian did extensive damage in Southwest Florida, and we're extremely blessed in Lehigh Acres. We were spared the worst of this hurricane. So, guys, we need to be praying for our family and friends down there, over there in Fort Myers Beach, Cape Coral, some places in Naples, and Northport, Port Charlotte. Wow, Sanibel Island. They lost their bridge. Some persons, they were up on their roofs and they weren't rescued until yesterday. Some persons are still not yet rescued, guys. In some areas, there was up to 18 feet of storm surge. So it was not a pretty sight in some places, but we are grateful for the lives that were spared. We are grateful that we are beginning to bounce back. Businesses are opening, and we will rebuild. This is the spirit of Southwest Florida. We expect hurricanes, but no one was really prepared for the onslaught of Ian, especially along those southern coastal areas. Fort Myers Beach, if you watch the news, you will see just how devastating those winds were, and the storm surge up to 18 feet, like I said, in some areas. But here we are in Lehigh Acres. This is the 33976 zip code. A blown down fence right there. But for the most part, persons lost. Yes, some persons did lose their shingles, a few shingles. Some persons lost their fences, and a lot of persons lost electricity. But FPL and LCEC, which are the two electricity power companies in this area, they really worked very hard to get people up and running really quickly after the storm. So we really salute those people. I lift my hat to those people, all those persons on the road who are helping, and all our nurses and medical staff, and all the persons who are involved in the rescue efforts. We really appreciate that here in Southwest Florida. Now, right here, as you can see, there's no electricity in those lights. So there are some areas that still have not yet received electricity, but the power companies are really working very hard to ensure that these areas are restored as soon as possible. So a lot of persons, no doubt, will have to make insurance claims, and FEMA is also making some assistance available to persons who need that assistance after this Hurricane Ian. So in the coming days, guys, the insurance companies are going to be very busy. Now, some customers have reached out to me and they are saying that it is almost impossible to get through to these insurance companies. But I encourage everyone, keep trying, because these insurance companies, they're going to be overwhelmed with calls right now. But keep trying. A lot of them have their claim the application form is available online, so you can make your claim online, which is what I would suggest is the easiest way to do it. If, of course, you have internet access, you can do that. Internet access has been restored to several areas already, and that is a good thing. Here's another view of Lee Boulevard in Lehigh Acres. This is one of the major thoroughfares in Lehigh, and as you can see, the businesses are really up and running, and so we are grateful for that. Most persons are, well, the persons who work in Lehigh, that is, most of them are already back to work. There are some persons who work in Fort Myers that have yet to, to return to work because they still have not yet received power or water in some cases. Also, the Southwest Florida International Airport did experience some damage. As a matter of fact, they are closed right now. They are still closed. They're working very, very hard around the clock so that service can be restored as soon as possible. And the word is that hopefully by the end of this week, they should be making flights again. Several flights were canceled. I had a flight that was canceled because the airport was not up and running. They had not yet received electricity. And so they are working very, very hard, very, very hard to open that airport because, as you know, they are losing a lot of revenue. Each day that the airport remains closed, they're losing a lot of revenue. So they are working around the clock at the Southwest Florida International Airport in Fort Myers to have that open as soon as possible. So guys, this is what has happened in Lehigh. You can see I'm just giving the footage about Lehigh Acres today. Another video I'll try and cover Fort Myers. Some areas that are accessible, the damage was really, really extensive in some areas of Fort Myers and Cape Coral and Naples. But we are grateful for those areas that were spared the worst. So as we can see here, businesses are up and they are running. Lots of cars on the road. There was a gas shortage because people were hoarding the gas, of course, to, fill up their generators and to have gas in their vehicles. And we still encourage persons to be very, very careful with the generators because I heard of at least one incident in Lehigh Acres where a house burned to the ground because someone decided to use their generator in the garage. Guys, let us remember, the generators need to be 20 feet from the house. If you're going to use your generator, please make sure that you use it according to the guidance. These manufacturers, they know what they're saying. Please do not run the generator inside your house. We want to avoid any unnecessary accidents in this area, especially after we have just gone through a major disaster. We want to avoid all of that. So right here now we are going on Gunree Road south. I'm just going to show you along this area. It's another area in the 33971 zip code. Across there we have Lehigh Senior and the library as well, Lehigh Library. So this is another area in Lehigh. Minimal damage again. We are grateful. Most of the utility poles are still up. Trees are still up. As you can see, quite a bit of foliage, and they are up and in good shape, as you can see from this video. Now coming up here around the corner, we have the Tortuga Elementary School. School did well. It withstood the hurricane. No major damage, thank God. But the schools are closed for this week. All the schools in the Lee County have been closed for this week. And as the school district tries to get things back to order, where everything is working, electricity is up, and water, and trying to get persons to help persons to find housing. Now that is going to be a challenge over the next few days, over the next few months, because some persons lost everything. And so we are really, persons have really been pulling together. The community efforts are very admirable, and people have been giving, reaching out, giving water, ice, anything that they can give to help persons recover from the devastating effects of Hurricane Ian. But really, really grateful and thankful that Lehigh Acres did not receive a lot of damage in this hurricane. As you can see, these houses are still standing. Yeah, for the most part, the roofs are intact. And so, guys, Florida has learned over the years, the building codes are really very good. And so the houses are built to withstand hurricanes because we are in the hurricane belt. And so most of these houses are built to withstand hurricane force winds. Now, when it comes to storm surge, however, there is really not much that can be done about that. If the property is located close to the coast, then of course you are going to expect that there will be some amount of storm surge, and that is why persons were encouraged to evacuate from those areas. Zone A, Zone B, those areas, persons were advised to definitely evacuate, because storm surge was expected in those areas, and they did in fact have those storm surges. It went up to 18 feet in some areas. So Southwest Florida, we are grateful that we have life. We still, some persons have, we are so grateful for electricity and water. You never really know the value of something until you lose it for a little while. It was so uncomfortable without the electricity and the water. But that is it, guys.